All right, I don't know what the shit is happening with this business. That I know you guys are going to get annoyed that I bring this up, but this just made me laugh. Is it Glenn Beck? How government and legacy media control what we think. Speak for your fucking self. Now, this is blissfully short compared to his other clips, so hang in there.
I want to begin with this little disclaimer. This is not a
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Rant about capitalism. I'm the biggest advocate for capitalism, real capitalism that you'll find. This isn't even a critique of crony capitalism, although.
Yeah, why would you ever do that? And obviously, well, I guess, so you don't like Elon Musk is what you're saying. So like anybody with like big federal contracts is your problem.
Well, that needs to be discussed as we progress further, looking into the deep state, big pharma, big food, military, industrial complex, and everything else plaguing our.
Yeah, you don't actually think Doge is going to cut into any of that toy box, do you?
Country right now. This is an analysis on control.
Well, get out the whips and chains.
What our enemies are using against us to.
Oh yeah, right. This must be about how they weaponize your stupidity and your gullibility and your, I don't know, uncontrollable desire to eat a giant Oreo shake from Sonic 3 times a day.
Control what we think, the causes that we support, the way we plan for our retirement, the way we feed our families or heat our homes, on and on. The death of free will.
Oh, I'm sorry. So let me get this straight. I'm supposed to believe that everything the news says, even when it contradicts itself, I just follow like a fucking cat with a laser pointer. And the reason I should believe that that's true is because you fucking say it. So big channel bad because small channel says so. Even though this is your business and you have the same kind of phony desk set up, at least I have the decency to be in a pretend spaceship. So nobody mistakes me for a wannabe newsman. Look, I have a desk and it looks like a real desk. Get the fuck out of here.
For example, before I get back to Chomsky and his book, here's a little George Orwell from 1984. Quote,
oh, fuck this. Stop citing Orwell. At least cite Brazil, for fuck's sake.
Quote, films, football, beer, and above all, gambling filled up the horizon of their minds. To keep them in control was not difficult.
Jesus, are you talking about maggots? Like, saying any of those things are wrong or bad is fighting words.
Just change, still.
No. Just change what? Change fucking nothing, dummy. That's what it says.
Films, Netflix, football, yep, beer, booze, drugs, whatever.
Yeah, beer, booze, drugs, whatever. Yeah, Adderall? No, of course not. Whatever that.
Gambling, the internet filled up.
Yeah, basically, the internet is gambling. I would agree. Yeah, you're just like doom scrolling, like jackpot.
Up the horizon of their minds. That's what's happening. Now, Orwell wrote this long before.
Then if it is, you're part of that, stupid.
George Floyd and the birth of modern corporate activism. He had no idea about organizations like the World Economic Forum or ESG. Orwell was talking ultimately about the
rise of communism and the authoritarian nature of Stalinist governments that were taking over at the time, which we do not have.
Dangers of consumerism, which.
Right, because he looked down on people who were not well read. He was a writer who specifically viewed himself as part of a higher class because of his consumption of literary materials. And he viewed a bunch of people who didn't buy and read books as fucking assholes who just watch football.
Goes back to the Wilson administration. And Edward Bernays said,
don't get saucy with me, Bernays.
The problem with this country is we have a group of
whatever. Just we got a group of them, whatever they are. I don't know. Might have a group of, I don't know. bag of rats, some gnats. We got a group of murder of crows. What do we have?
People that have that pay attention to their needs.
Who does that?
We need to change them into people of wants, and they did. Consumerism. Now,
you do realize that is the essence of Reaganomics, the essence of Trumpism. I mean, he didn't write his book; he just sold it. That book was for consumer consumption. He failed at it, but he had a fucking casino, dummy.
how consumerism provides a distraction to what's really is going on
To what really is going on is
really important.
It is. It's so important. It's so important. Like I've said this a bunch of times. You guys know this. I'm on about this all the time. It's so important.
If an authoritarian government holds the reins of
Yeah. By the way, I would like to be clear what he's saying here. It is better for people in power if the people are more concerned about meeting their basic needs than moving past the basic needs part to their wants. You need to be able to get your needs taken care of so that you can go after the things you want. They want you to stay needy. Glenn Beck needs you to stay in need and out of want. Does that make sense? What a terrible thing that people are going after what they want because they've got their needs met. Who let that happen?
of the corporate elite, like in the 21st century
like Elon Musk?
fascism, then we become slaves unknowingly to their entire agenda.
No, we don't. No, we don't. Stop it. No. I'm not a slave to my wants. Those are things I want. If I want something else or something comes along better, I'll want that instead. Piss off. They're not in league together. Believe me. Elon Musk isn't happy if people hop off of X and go to Blue Sky because at least they're on a social media thing chasing their thing. No, he specifically wants them on his site.
That's where we've been. Tuesday, we woke up. Now,
did we? I thought I slept through Tuesday. No, I had a show. Yeah.
Now, there's no question about it. After the spread of ESG and DEI and the woke agenda, big
and GTFOOH
corporations are in bed with the government.
What are they doing?
They call them public-private partners.
Yeah. That's because, they can't just say marriage because people object.
Okay, that's the literal definition of fascism.
No, it's not. It's literally not. Public-private partnerships are not the literal definition of fascism by any measure.
Making good products really becomes secondary. Making money, well, that comes down to whether they toe the government line. If you will say the right things, of course, you'll make money. Banks will give you loans.
Sorry, I thought, wasn't there a go woke, go broke meme going around?
Orwell's nightmare, as far as control is concerned.
Oh, God, I got to tell you guys, I'm so fucking tired of them hammering this shit out of 1984 every fucking time. Maybe it's just them trying to avoid talking about Animal Farm at this point. A little too close to home.
Is now our reality.
No, it's not. No, it is not. If it was, you wouldn't be speaking, shithead. Or you'd be a part of it. This goes to like the Alex Jones thing. What the fuck are you talking about? If we were in 1984 and the system controlled every word that was said, and if you veered out, they'd punish you and all the shit that happened in 1984 when we were, quote, literally there, this asshole would either be in prison or your only conclusion would be he's part of the messaging. He's literally like a member of the political elite and their messaging machine. This is just like communist China. Like, you can't even speak freely. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Shut the fuck up.
Just imagine the power this provides.
Just imagine the power this provides. Gibberish.
Imagine the money.
I'm imagining the money. Oh, money. I love money and love to rub it and kiss it. Actually, I don't. I just like the shit you can get with it because I have stuff to do. And I'm like, I want to be I'm here and I need to get over there. I need money to buy a plane ticket because I don't want to carry around a fucking plane under my arm in case I need to get somewhere all the time. And I might be hungry later, but I don't want to walk around with a sandwich. So I'd rather carry the money around and then turn that into a sandwich later. It's just more practical. Unless you know of a good wallet that can keep a sandwich fresh.
This is why Donald Trump and anyone who works with him is in danger.
Well, I mean, especially if they're downwind from him, I think. Is that your concern? That he might, I'm fairly certain that he's definitely going to, you know what I mean? Like everybody. Maybe if they just wore gas masks or... Right.
When you look at all the consumer brands.
All of them? This is going to be exhausting. Hold on one second. I tipped over my beverage. This is a professional show. Fuck you.
Do you know how many companies own
Fuck a pop quiz.
over 550 consumer brands?
How many companies own over 550 consumer brands? 4? 6. And by the way, he considers like all the different versions of like Cheetos, like, or Doritos, like Cool Ranch, Nacho Cheese. These are separate brands that they operate. There's Mountain Dew and Sprite and Coke and all the, okay.
The number is 12.
Oh, I know shit. It's almost 3 times what I thought it was. It's wonderful.
Look at this graphic. There is not anything that we don't consume, buy, use that doesn't trace back to just a handful of corporations.
Sure there is. Anything that isn't a broader brand. Also, just because they're like Trader Joe's, just because they put their brand on like raw almonds doesn't make them Trader Joe's almonds. And any of these group that sell raw almonds can buy from the same fucking farm. It's just the can they put them in. Who gives a shit?
12. But again, this isn't an anti-corporation rant. But
it seems like it. I mean, but of course it isn't.
By all means, make money, grow your companies, do what you have to do.
Sure, do what you have to do. Form alliances with the government and corral people in and control their minds and make sure that they can't think about anything else and that they are slave to their wants. Go ahead. What? Wait, you were a second ago. That was the collapse of civilization. And now you're like, yeah, but I mean, it sounds like fun. It's good. It's a nice living if you can make it.
But the orange man cometh. Okay?
Okay. No.
He's got a plan for you.
Does he? Oh, yeah. Yes. Donald Trump is going to shut down corporations. He's going to break up monopolies. If this fucker is going to float the idea that Trump is going to be an anti-monopoly president.
Now, I want to talk to you.
I want you to explain what the fuck you're talking about.
Ownership here.
Oh, right. He owns you. You rent your underwear. Right. Sure.
When the unholy alliance between government takes place with government and capitalism or corporations,
which are one is a economic ideal. It's based on kind of mid-century concepts, and what he means by capitalism largely is resource capitalism, which is only 60% and not less than 60% of our actual economy these days, compared to like 80% of it 100 years ago. And by corporation, that could be anything from a C or an S corp or an LLC, all the way up through a major conglomerate. But what's the difference? What's the difference between a mom and pop store that incorporates and turns themselves into a C corp or an S corp and fucking Walmart? They're basically the same. It's an even playing field, right, Glenn?
That's where we have a problem. How many of these companies have
You mean like Tesla? You mean like SpaceX? You mean like XAI?
Come to openly endorse and embrace DEI, ESG, and all the other whacked out progressive crusades over the past decade?
The ones with shareholders that care?
Almost all of them.
Right. And look how well they're doing, because a lot of people felt more comfortable investing in those companies because they weren't seen as some sort of like white supremacist oligarchy.
This same exact model is what has happened to the American propaganda complex.
Yikes. Jesus Christ. Dude, I thought that was a beard. It turns out it's Taibbi's jizz. What are you talking about?
Mainstream media. Let me switch back to Noam Chomsky here.
Oh, God. The fucking fact that he is citing Chomsky. Look at these assholes.
Is manufacturing consent. This is Chomsky back in the 80s on how the legacy media controls the public.
Yeah, and now you're all in on this nonsense?
Watch.
Now, the elite media are the sort of the agenda-setting media. That means the New York Times, the Washington Post, the major television channels, and so on. They set the general...
The major ones, not Fox. They're a little upstart. They're not part of the problem. They're part of the solution. Right, Noam?
framework. Local media more or less adapt to their structure. And they do this in all sorts of ways, by selection of topics, by distribution of concerns, by emphasis and framing of issues, by filtering of information.
Also, what the fuck is this, like, background noise? This is so goddamn 80s.
By bounding of debate within...
By the way, all things necessary if you're just going to organize and put together a show with, of national news. Of course you're going to go, yes, that, not that.
Certain limits.
Also, what is this whole? I gotta say, we're talking about propaganda, right? We're gonna from Noam's point of view, and I'm not a fan, by the way. I prefer Howard Zinn to him, and I even have problems with Howard. Both of them were flacks for, basically like viewed themselves as so anti-capitalist in their ideas that they were essentially just attacking every possible point of view of the United States while living safely under its warm blanket. It's just so weird. It's like Thoreau, writing all of his, shit about all men live lives of quiet desperation, written from the warm side of a bay window, looking out over a frozen lake. It's like, get out of here. But look at all these shots of them like, this is a TV show. And Glenn looking on, this is important, because look at what you're actually seeing. Glenn is sitting with his little fake fucking desk where he's pretending to have a newsroom TV desk from the fucking 80s. Right? He's branded himself after what news is supposed to look like. With the new, like old news shows back then. And they're like, look at this guy sitting there with a suit, putting a tie on and sitting down in front of a camera.
45 seconds. They determine, they select.
Again, this idea that, like, because they have a script and because they organize the nightly news or because he's looking at his notes or they're dealing with a particular story, that it's somehow that qualifies it as propaganda or some shit. It's just lame. If it is, it is. Make a point. I would argue that, like, around the Iraq War, there was a bunch of people kind of lining up with the talking points or being, more gullible or less critical than they absolutely should have at a baseline. Super easy. But the idea that this is just like all the news is just this big organized fucking Pentaverate Illuminati gig to like control our minds. It's just so fucking lame, especially when most Americans are checked out of politics and the news. You walk around and ask them half of what's going on. Like, they're like, I don't know. I didn't see that. Like, the idea that if it's a control matrix, it sucks. It's terrible. It's not good at what it does.
They shape, they control, they restrict in order to serve the interests of dominant elite groups in the society.
And you could argue that by writing the books that he does and speaking to the groups that he does and working on college campuses, that Chomsky's entire methodology was to determine, select, shape, control, and restrict and serve the interests of dominant minority groups, ideological minority groups, not religious or racial, that he's aligned with. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
Society.
Did you notice years ago we used to complain about gas prices once the media was on it? But if it was a Democrat in office and the media wouldn't rail about it, was this last...
What the fuck? What? Jimmy Carter just died. Shut the fuck up.
Last time, nobody was talking about high gas prices except in small little circles.
Are you shitting me? Jesus Christ. Nobody talks about high gas prices except in small little circles.
Because the elites.
Fuck you.
In society.
The elites. Get the fuck out of here. Look, if there were elites in society like the ones you're talking about, you'd be a dead man. You wouldn't even have a show. They wouldn't let you. If they have control like you say they have control, you wouldn't. Your internet would be shut down all the fucking time. What the hell? Nobody was talking about gas prices. Fucking hell.
The demographic that Chomsky identified as the ones that control the country weren't talking about it. And now it's only a subsection of progressives and Kamala Harris that is gaining ground with the progressives and the Kamala Harris voters. The media selects the topics to be covered. They gatekeep. They set the agenda. That agenda is all but hand-delivered to them by the same elites within Washington, D.C.
Okay, so what stories are they not covering that they should cover on the nightly news that they're missing? Because all I've seen this dickhead talk about this entire segment is Orange Man cometh for CNN and he's going to attack them, and that they're not covering what they should be covering, which is what? Black crime? That's where he's going to go, isn't it? That's what he's going to do. He's just going to go with blacks do the criming. That's what he's. Is that what you want, Glenn? Is that what you think? That you think they're not paying attention?
And the corporate public-private partnership.
So Boeing has a contract because they make airplanes to make Air Force One. So therefore CNN gets talking points from the elites I was even going to say in the White House, but apparently they don't even have to be there.
Great example of this is a few days before the election. The New York Times targeted conservatives and independent media that broadcast on YouTube. Why? Why were they hand-delivered the talking points by Clinton and Democratic operatives at Media Matters?
Or why did they just notice then? Why didn't they notice sooner?
The elite in government and business set the agenda.
Really? Do you have a memo from them going, hey, go after fucking Tim Pool? It might turn out later that he's getting money from the fucking Russians, which we sort of suspect, but you don't even have to check. Just go after him.
Their propagandists in the media churn it out like it's a little demonic factory.
Churn it out. The ideas are part of the demon factory? Or motherfucker.
Just little demons working, printing this stuff all the time. Chomsky called this. And then it was followed like a Hollywood movie script. Tell me this isn't planned.
Jesus. It's not planned. You're welcome. The weird part is, like, Chomsky said this in the 80s, and the reason why Republicans consider the media to be liberal is because they bent more towards Chomsky's criticisms, ultimately, than they did at just following whatever agenda he thinks exists. That's why it's so fucking weird, because to Chomsky back in the day, at least if you followed what he allegedly believed, DEI and ESG and all these things that would, make corporate governance more equitable and more, socially relevant and valuable in their governance of how they're run, the racial diversity of their boards, those kind of things, seemed to be that, like, stuff that Chomsky would believe in. And so if the news was following what Chomsky said or drifted in his direction, started following his lead in these areas, and I would argue that they did after that book, then it's the exact opposite. There isn't an elite. If anything, Chomsky would be one of those elites. Wasn't he an MIT professor of linguistics who didn't speak another language? Which always bugged me. His work includes the concept of universal grammar, the Chomsky hierarchy, and the idea that language development is based on an innate structure of the mind and brain. He thinks that humans were built not just to speak, but to speak in specific order, which is fucking dumb. which is why he also got known more for his political activism than his actual theories on language as a linguistic professor. So boring. Yeah, so the press heard Chomsky's criticisms and followed them. They bought into it. If anything, if he was arguing that propaganda drives want and need the way Glenn Beck was making the case, then Chomsky was a successful propagandist for his ideas. And he was able to control elements of the media by making them afraid to appear as if they were being controlled by elites. And what was effectively happening is that Glenn Beck wants the media now to look at, he wants to do the same thing to the media that Chomsky did. Accuse them of following the elites so that they automatically give his argument, more say than it has earned. No, he's not, Lucius, he's not blaming Chomsky. He's trying to borrow what he sees as Chomsky's propaganda system. Noam Chomsky was friends with Jeffrey Epstein too. Yeah, he was a friend of his. I don't know if he got the massages acumen. I don't know that's, you might be thinking of Dershowitz, but Chomsky was unrepentant in his friendship of Epstein, which is probably why Glenn Beck is trying to rehabilitate his image. Right? It sounds to me like all of a sudden Glenn Beck is coming to the rescue of Noam Chomsky's. Hold on. So Glenn Beck all of a sudden is coming to the rescue of Chomsky's legacy. Right? Yeah, Chomsky allegedly played in the kiddie pool. That's the allegation. But at the very least, he was unrepentant in his friendship with Epstein, and basically, what was his statement on it was even more fucked up. Hold on. Chomsky on Epstein friendship. It was this weird, it was such a none ya business thing, literally. Yeah. Renowned academic Noam Chomsky told the Wall Street Journal that his meetings with Jeffrey Epstein were none of your business. When asked about the connections with Jeffrey Epstein, many business leaders and bureaucrats offer tight-lipped regrets and apologies. Not Noam Chomsky. The Wall Street Journal, in an exclusive published Sunday, said it had obtained Epstein's private calendar, which outlined numerous meetings with high-profile people, including Chomsky, the famed academic and political activist. When the Journal reached out to Chomsky for comment, the linguist had some choice words. First response is that it is none of your business or anyone's. Second is that I knew him and we met occasionally. On what occasions would that be? Wouldn't the occasion matter? You know what I mean? If it was an awards show and the dude showed up at this thing and you were just there at the same time, or he knew people at MIT, so every time they had an alumni meeting, this fucker would show up, right? That seems reasonable. Like, I ran into him occasionally because he showed up at these events. That's easy to ditch. So what occasions? Yeah, Epstein moved around money for Noam Chomsky and helped him avoid taxes. This is part of it. And helped him, hide some investments, effectively. In exchange for God knows what. They met at Bill Barr's school? Probably. Yeah, it's not hard. Fuck Jeffrey Epstein. Fuck Ghislaine Maxwell. I hope she rots in hell. I hope he's rotting in hell and she rots in jail and then rots in hell. Not difficult. And maybe there needs to be a lesson in how to deal with this. No one is on the hook for someone that they know socially or even in business over time who turns out to be the fucking BTK killer if you had no idea. And when they do, it's super easy. Look, I never saw any of that, or I'd have called somebody. And if what they're saying is true, fuck that guy. If it's not true, I hope they can eliminate him quickly and go after the real perpetrator. Does that seem difficult to anyone? Especially for a linguist. Sorry, Noam Chomsky's a linguist, a master of language, ladies and gentlemen. And the best he can come up with when the Wall Street Journal asks him about why and how often he hung out with Jeffrey Epstein because they have records of it, his answer is none of your business. Like he's hanging out in front of a Circle K with a beer in his hand. Who wants to know? Jesus. And again, if that's your answer, and that you have a comfort level with that being your answer, I'm going to attach that to everything else. And I don't have to sync my beliefs if you believe in some of them. Let's say we share an idea, or at least I think you do, right? Let's say you went to BTK's church where he was a deacon. Are you on the hook because you share the same church as this guy? He came in the same building as you all the time, pretending to be a Christian while you were really being a Christian. Are you on the hook for this fucking guy? Of course not. Do you have to deny everything you believe about what you're saying because this guy allegedly believed those things and it turns out he was lying? No. Cut bait. I will never understand that part of it. Look at fucking Ashton and fucking Danny Masterson, right? It ain't hard. And if somebody, if what they're being accused of is really out of character, you can say that. You can go, I never saw anything like that. If I had, I would obviously reported it. I don't know him to be that kind of a person. That's more of a defense of you than it is of them. But once they get convicted in fucking court and you're like, hey, go easy on this guy because he always seemed nice to me. I mean, I do realize he was found guilty of 2 counts of rape and abuse and all this other shit in the court of law. But he was such a bro. No. And the defense of like, well, we never thought our letter to the judge, for leniency would be made public. What? No. No. You either stand by what you wrote or you shut the fuck up. And if you wrote something like that, then you either believe it or you're in it with him. Right? Why would you write it if you didn't believe it? Mr. Diddy Party. Well, that may be the issue, isn't it? Why is it that these motherfuckers... And you think I'm going to care less about the rights of workers and people because Noam Chomsky talked about some of these things and then turned out to be a fuckhead and a liar and a bigot? And, right? Do you think I have to cash in my ideals because he allegedly believed them? See what I mean? My ethics aren't on the hook for people who pretend they have those ethics, no matter how much they become aligned with them. Eek. Hold on, let me see. I've got it. Yeah, in case you don't know, where is it?
Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, they are under fire after writing character references for Danny Masterson, who was sentenced last week to 30 years for raping 2 women. The couple is now apologizing. Zareen Shah has the story. Good morning, Zareen.
Hold on.
Growing from the appalled Kutcher
to us, the person that they
of raping 2 women in the early 2000s.
and his family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
Again, here's what you know. Here's what you know at this point. What's the video? What's the content of the letter? Here's what you know now. That he was a liar and a violent sexual assaulter of women, and you didn't see that, so he was good at hiding that from you. Right? That's your reality. Not like he's always seemed like a good guy. Because you have to weigh that with, he always seemed like a good guy who was doing this awful thing and this awful thing and this awful thing and this awful thing. And he was found guilty of those awful things. And so therefore, your reality is that you bought into his bullshit. Yes, like a KGB sleeper. That's exactly right. They seem so American. This fucking asshole. Hold on.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They're using they're using a teleprompter for the statement too.
Married couple worked with Masterson for nearly a year on the net, part of more than 50. Kutcher writing that Masterson is a role model, adding he does not believe he's an ongoing harm to society.
And well, that's largely because women aren't a valuable part of society, I guess.
Mila writing Masterson is.
For the record, I've been in a movie with both of these people. I had one scene with Mila Kunis in a Mike Judge film, and I did Dude, Where's My Car? Obviously, I barely worked with Ashton. Most of my scenes were with other people. I had like 2 scenes, I think, with him. And to be completely frank, he seemed kind of douchey, kind of loud and full of himself, and was trying to like take over the reins of directing from Danny Liner and thought it was his film. And he very well may have been right in feeling that because, Philip Stark wrote it and he's a funny writer and he wrote for that 70s show. Right. And I did an improv scene. Nick Thune and I did a scene together in Extract. And Mila Kunis comes in and basically robs us. And they didn't quite know where the film was going to where that scene was going to be in the film. And he really liked it. So he opened the movie with it. But we just improvised our way through it. Nick was great, and that was a really fun day. And she just came in and she had her lines written, and like she would do them, whatever. There was no play back and forth, and we just had to like fill in the gaps past her lines. So she had like 4 lines. Were you punked? No, I was not. Although during, if I may, well, let's see what the rest she says. Okay.
Is an outstanding older brother figure who demonstrates grace and empathy in every situation.
Oh, God damn. No.
Their words sparking massive backlash online.
Gee, I can't imagine why. Must have been that whole every situation part. And role model?
We support victims.
Not in every situation.
We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so.
Historically? Quick tip, everybody. If you're doing an apology video, don't talk about your life and your work as historic. It's not a good look.
In the future.
The two are involved in several philanthropic efforts, including an organization that Ashton co-founded to combat sex trafficking.
Oh, the irony. Gee, it's almost like Dennis Hastert getting put on the missing and exploited children, or no, it wasn't him, it was Mark Foley, getting put on the missing and exploited children committee, and then, fucking messaging 11-year-old boys that were working as pages.
Jane Doe 1, who tearfully read her own victim impact statement aloud in court before Masterson's sentencing, reacting to their apology, telling ABC News, "This video was incredibly, insanely insulting, hurtful, especially Ashton, who claims to work with victims of sex crimes with the nonprofit Thorn Foundation."
Also, real quick, if I may, Thorn Foundation? Thorn. Okay, I have, back in the day, as a huge fan of Tori Amos, given money to and supported RAINN. Just in case you don't know, this is, hold on, let me see. Open this up. RAINN is the Rape and Incest National Network, okay? And if you're looking for a charity to support, They're a good one. Good people. And as somebody who had a massive crush on Tori Amos in the 90s, especially, collected I have all of her B-sides and stuff like that. Love her music. Love her artistry. It's fantastic overall. She worked with RAINN. RAINN is a great name for an organization. It makes sense with Rape and Incest National Network. If you've ever heard her song Me and a Gun, which is a cappella and is brutal, just about the time she was sexually assaulted. And she has done amazing work for and around them and for women's rights and all this stuff. And so, like, just great, okay? Meanwhile, if I may, here's what I think of when you say thorn. This fucking kid. Damien Thorn. There's a better picture of him. Yeah. It's fucking Satan's last name. They're the spawn of Satan, the kid. In The Omen. His last name is Thorn. Yes, Tori Amos is the real deal. That's right. Who else immediately, chat room, who else immediately, when you heard it called the Thorn Foundation, immediately thought of Damien Thorn? Right? Just shit. What the hell? And I don't get it. I really don't. And hey, maybe that's why my parts weren't bigger in some of these things. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not a team player when it comes to that shit. I never got invited to a Diddy party for a good reason. Because if I was there and there was a cement block nearby, it would have gotten real ugly. So, and the thing about, so I did, let's see. So I did a show for VH1 called Pop Shot that I created that was pilfered. And the final segment of the show, it was like covering, what was breaking in a comedic way using sketches and other stuff in what was in different sectors, like media, like celebrity, like it was just like Talk Soup, mostly sketches, but 1 hour we covered all these different areas. And they took the one part about the internet and they made it a single show and stole the idea. And anyways, grumble. But I shared my office space that they gave me to do the show was at VH1's headquarters in Santa Monica, right? And right across from, let's see, hold on. Hold on. See if this is in here. Yeah, where are we? Yeah, it's just some of these just stories of me telling them about them. But the important thing, though, is that I did this sketch, and the idea behind it was, all breaking up these different parts. And our offices shared the VH1 thing, and right across from our office was the Punk'd offices. They used the other half of the building, and 2/3 of the building was empty at VH1. Like they owned this big building. There's almost nobody fucking there, and so their office was in the kind of corner area, which had the more closed off office with the doors. And we got a couple of closed offices, but mostly the bullpen kind of office space for our writers and workers. And I didn't give a shit because it was really fun to have an office. I didn't really have one ever before. Even at Talk Soup, I had a fucking cubicle. Didn't have an office at Talk Soup. Didn't have my own room. Had a cubicle. It was good times. Good old E. Anyways, so that's where I met Ashton's producer. I never really saw him around, but I met, and this is after Dude, Where's My Car? But his producer, who was there working a lot, was, again, he and Greg Gutfeld's producer on Red Eye are the two most genuinely miserable assholes I have ever met in my life. Just mean, pissy, cruel, gross, nihilistic bastards. Super odd. Just super fucking odd. Yeah. So, does Spaghetti Cat get in the office? I don't know. Let's see. And by the way, that show Pop Shot only became but it was just a pilot. Like, it never went, unfortunately. Oh shit! Wait. Okay. So hold on. Here's something. This will show you the time of it. Here's a clip from it. This is called Pop Shot Investigates the Star Wars Kid. This is a clip we did, and I did. Wait till I show you this, and then I'll show you something.
Okay, check out this media trend. A 15-year-old kid videotaped himself spazzing out with a golf ball retriever, and some other kids found the tape and uploaded it to the internet. What should have been an embarrassing secret has turned into the coolest internet trick since,
Boner, snot, boner.
Right. After they uploaded it, somebody added special effects to the video, and he became the Star Wars Kid.
And so, so there was a question about whether we could use their footage. So we recreated it with my buddy Chris Bono. That's Chris.
He is now a media superstar at...
By the way, at JediMaster.net. Now, that's me right there. And I think I've aged pretty well. I'm not as skinny as I was, but in a good way. And my voice is deeper. But that said, that was my buddy Chris doing that part of it. All the graphics, all the lightsaber itself, I hand drew all of that in Photoshop, one cell at a time. That was cell animation, ladies and gentlemen, done by yours truly for this. I know it's also higher pitched than my voice wasn't that high, I hope.
At JediMaster.net with over 12 million loyal fans. Wait, you know who I think should jump on that bandwagon?
Star Wars Kid Rock. So there you go. So that was, yeah. My voice sounded deeper back then. Fuck off. So anyways, all that artwork, all that fucking, this stuff, like I hand drew, and back then you had to like, basically create a white solid on all these at the angle that it was going, and then you had to make it glow, and then the lasers would come in, and you would do the same thing, and you would literally, like, frame by frame, you would click through this thing. And I like how it starts because I yanked my crotch. I was very proud of that fact. I started by, watch again. I mean, come on. Come on. All right, okay. Yeah, this is what I was doing in the VH1 studios when I had an office right across from Ashton Kutcher's asshole farm. And yes, that was Tommy Lee. So the idea, they were buddies at the time, and they were both fucking Pam was the idea. That was the story. And so that's why he hit, like, instead of the remotes in Star Wars, I had I flew in the heads of Tommy Lee for that part of it. It's the other thing. So. Let's watch that one. Come on. This was 17 years ago. And that's me voicing Tommy Lee like he's Butthead. Right. And Chris, by the way, Chris Bono did a great job. So you ever see the real Star Wars kid, Chris fucking nails it. Like he treated this like it was goddamn choreography. You know what? I'm going to put director Pop Shot Films on my fucking resume. God damn it. So there's a real crucial part where you hit the wall and then the floor and then do that. So that happened in the real video. So we both recreated it as our characters. We took this very seriously. And that's a move that the real guy did. He went up and down and up and down. It's really funny to watch. But Chris fucking nailed it. Way to go, Chris. I'm just saying, Chris Bono, hilarious physical comedy. And he keeps his leg up for some reason. We never could figure out why, but that's what that guy did. And then he walks towards the camera. So the whole thing was he points it towards it. He starts walking towards the camera at the end of his video. And so when you recreate it, then that's why you do the whole thing. And you go, you spin around, and then the wall on the floor, and then kick forward, and then you spin around, and then I throw in this extra little thing. Just because I'm being an asshole. And then you finish and you start walking towards the screen. Right. Okay. So that's the thing. It's totally stupid, really fun. And the whole concept of the show back then was to make fun of these videos and then just kind of do our own little take on them. And Chris had helped me a lot at Talk Soup doing sketches. He and I famously did Manson and Ebert there, which is I think one of my top 5 favorite sketches. At Talk Soup. Let's see. Hold on. This is so.
That was Julia Roberts and Richard Gere teaming up again for the first time since Pretty Woman.
That's Chris.
The film was a saccharine throwback to the old Doris Day movies with Rock Hudson, but without the sexual tension.
Killer Ebert.
Situations and hackneyed dialogue, so I'm afraid I can't recommend it. Charlie?
Big disagreement here, Piggy. I love this romance caper thing, especially the scene where my armies move beyond the program, book braves to begin a holy war between life on Earth. Listen here, you can try and kill me 1,000,000 times, but you can't kill my soul. My 666 beast is running free outside the great big world of cinema.
So, are you giving it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
Hey, don't you know, man? Ain't nobody there, man. That's the air we breathe. It's the tree. It's the...
By the way, all the lines I'm saying there are actual quotes from Charles Manson. Like, this is an actual monologue of Manson shit that we looked up.
It's the animals. Same reason they kill rattlesnakes, man. Same stupid macho thing. But when the 7th seal is broken, I'll be laughing with my brothers and sisters.
I also think Julia Roberts is pretty cute. So, is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
It's one of these up, man.
So to wrap the reviews on today's show, we split on the Blair Witch Project. I thought it was a scary horror movie, independently filmed and very well done, while Charlie thought it was a comic romp.
Everyone says I'm Satan, some agent of the devil, but these kids are just my children. They're out in the woods, they want to be the next Hitler.
That's a real quote from Manson.
Well, we loved Tarzan. I thought it was suitable for adults and children. Charlie liked the animation.
I ruled the Cook County Jail.
That was another line from it.
Split again on Star Wars Episode 1. I found it to be a triumph. Charlie hated Jar Jar.
God gives life and God takes life, man. I can't kill Jar Jar.
And that wraps up this edition of Manson and Ebert. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times, and you're Charlie Manson, Crazy Man.
Listen, man, I'm not crazy. I'm crazy like a fox. I'm crazy like a red-blooded stepchild.
You could take like Toastmasters.
I just imagine. I got Toastmasters for you right here. Toastmasters for you.
Cooking with toast.
I don't know why I did the fucking thing barefoot, just because I thought Manson would. I'm so method.
My feet walk the embers, a lot of fires of blood because
Well, good. You're working on your self-esteem because,
you're going to carry people like me into the new dawn.
The sound on this is shitty because it's anyways. So this is when like Ebert was trying on different guests, right? I can't kill Jar Jar. My favorite one is I ruled the Cook County Jail. Oh shit! Sorry, it's so loud. I turned up the volume so that you beg your pardon. Sorry, everybody. Sorry if I'm really loud. I'll just turn that down a little bit. There we go. That's better. Yikes. Sorry. But anyway, so Chris, by the way, Chris Bono, give it up. Very funny. And like his Ebert was just fucking spot on. So, yeah. So anyways, that was this. Oh, that's 2000 right there. That's 99, 2000. But the other one was 2007? 2007, yeah. You sure you never did drugs? Yes, I'm sure. Yeah. So, anyways, like, that's so funny. Hold on one second. Just hold on. Because I think they, okay. Anyways, I like. You know how you get one of those situations, and I'll let you guys go because I kept you over a little bit, but you ever get in one of those situations where you're like, finally, I fucking got it. Like, I notched one on the belt. I fucking crossed this finish line. I achieved the goal. And then with it comes this kind of like unknown bill you didn't realize you were going to have to pay. And none of it was the one they warned you about. Everybody warned you about fame. And everybody warns you about how people are going to be, are going to treat you or blow smoke up your ass or all that kind of nonsense that you hear about fame or when you make it. And like you're going to be invited to sketchy parties or get caught up doing blow and drug, all that shit. Whatever the storyline they tell you about Hollywood is, fake people trying to screw you and blah. It's not. It's not. Most of it is dickhead coworkers or people who are across the office from you who take the joy out of every day, just like everybody else has to deal with it in an office anywhere else. That's all it is. The pitfalls are, it's all, yeah. It's nowhere near what what people say it is. At all. Like you're gonna get all caught up in people. You're gonna believe your own hype, and then you're gonna. Next thing you know, you're gonna be, calling your agent in the middle of the night trying to bury a hooker. All those like goofy stories they tell about Hollywood and stuff. In reality, it's just like I don't know. It's a really good show, but my coworker's kind of a prick. Kind of takes the fun out of it, Like it's a good. We're all very proud of the work we're doing and stuff, but what an asshole. What I got to do? Oh, my favorite thing this week, but I have to do it with somebody that just seems hell-bent on making it harder for everybody? Ugh. Yes, that's right. Your coworkers suck. All right, I'm going to let you go so you can go watch Liberal Dan. He'll be up at 8 o'clock. Your time, whatever, in about half hour, I guess, his time. Much love. Thank you guys for sticking around with me. I hope that wasn't too self-indulgent, but I just wanted to clear the air about the people that I've worked with in the past. And I will say that, say what you will about Ashton Kutcher, but he came to the defense of Danny Masterson and he went to Diddy parties and bragged and joked about it. And I never got invited to those parties, and nor would have stayed had I was. I might have shown up because I wouldn't have known any better, but I would have gone, hey, you want to go to the downstairs? What do you mean? There's a downstairs party. Sure, what's it like? Oh, you want to go to the other downstairs party? No, this sounds like a fucking dungeon. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Thank you. No. I gotta go. This is before Uber, so I'm gonna go walk down the street and call the cops. My big fear, of course, is the kidney. And if we have...
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Well, that's fine.